ancient voice, whispering from the void, and it chills my lightless heart.
G'day guys, DUCKVILLE here. We're going to do something a little bit different here today. This one is going to be a 4v4 game, but what we're going to do is actually just have a look mainly at the map and how the map actually dictates a lot of the play in this particular 4v4 matchup. Of course, this one does actually have me in it, so you're going to see some of my bad strats and that sort of thing that happens, and the bad micro and whatever. Right. The teams, just before we get into a little bit of a look at the map, is of course myself. This Purple Zerg here, Tease, and then we have over here a Terran named Cash, and a friend of mine named Rawrsoft. So we are going to have 4 on this side, of course, and on the other side we've got tomrlu. I don't know, man. That's a crazy name. We got MurkLoar, and we have a Terran, Ladlav, and then we have a green Terran over here, Scratch. So 4v4, of course. This is a very big map. This is actually District 10, so this is the new map that's actually just been introduced in the new patch, of course. I believe there are actually a couple more new 4v4 maps coming up in 1.3 once that's ready. I'm not exactly sure on that, but we're going to just have a look a little bit at the map and what things you can do in team games to take advantage of this map, and of course what sort of things will need to be done for you to be successful in a team game, because we're going to try and focus a little bit more on team games on this on the channel a little bit more, and hopefully if we get some more good replays we'll see some more 4v4s and 3v3s and that kind of thing. So as we said, this is the new map. This is a very, very macro orientated map. As you can see on the mini-map here, we have expansions all over the joint. There are a total of 4 gold expansions, as you can see here, and 4 Xel'Naga watchtowers, of course. You got one here, you got another one here, and then of course they're mirrored on the other side. So this map is very much about actually controlling your third base, and if you can actually hold your third base, you will be in a fantastic position, because then you can actually lead into the gold bases and hold them, and then of course you will win. So one of the quick things we might have a quick look at is, while I get rid of the production tab, because of course in 4v4s the production tab goes insane because there's the 8 players with all the things building. One thing is this back base. There is like a backdoor base. If you've played 4v4s before, you'll remember Extinction actually had that island back base there, which of course the Terrans generally use to float a early command center up there and take that one. This time this is actually not an island. This one is right next to the 2 middle bases, as you can see here, and as we have pretty much demonstrated here, this one is, you should generally always leave this to one of your Zerg players if you have a Zerg player on the team, because it's it'll always be one which they will graciously take, and of course really helps out the Zerg with early game and then leading into mid game. So make sure you leave that one to your Zerg buddies, and if you are a Zerg player, you should probably, if you're playing randoms, make sure you speak out and actually say, I want this back base, because of course if if a Protoss or a Terran takes it, it'll be really annoying, because you have to actually come out here and take one of these, because there's these 2 right here that you actually need to take, which are a little bit exposed, and then or the other option of course is one of these side ones, this one being the worst one to take as a natural, but generally you don't actually have to. So as you can see here, Probe's just scouting around. We're not really going to focus too much on the gameplay until we get a little bit further into it. We're going to just have a look at the map. Whilst we are scrolling around here, we do have these 2 destructible debris which are sitting up here. They both have 2k health. They're blocking this very big ramp here. This is one thing that is a big key to this map, is actually making sure you are watching what is happening on these rocks. Now this is these do go down in time, of course. Once one of them is down, the other does not break, of course, so just keep that in mind. I know some people actually I've played against who thought that if you take one down, you take both of them down. No, that is not the case, you moron. So just be very careful of those rocks and make sure you are actually watching them. As Rawrsoft is here very dutifully put down a pylon to make sure that he can actually see the health of the rocks and can see if anything is actually coming along to destroy them. So Marines and Zealots will generally be the thing that will come along to actually try and take them out, and they do that in quite quick time, as you'll notice. And the other option is Zerglings, of course, but that takes a lot longer. And if you don't actually spot Zerglings taking out those rocks, you should probably, you know, go back to single player or something like that. I'm not really sure. But yes, yeah, so that's actually a good idea to make sure you chuck down a pylon, a supply depot, something like that. So this is probably the best way to do it. The way not to do this is actually to do what our friend Scratch has done. He's actually put down a full wall on this side. Number one, he actually built this straight up. I didn't actually show it because I was sort of looking at other things, but he built this straight up and actually built every single supply depot here from the start after the first rack. So he spent a shitload of minerals actually building that one up, which is just ridiculous. So don't do it that way. Just put down one and then actually either help out your buddy in the middle in walling off this middle section, which is not blocked by debris, or just build here in the middle so your buildings aren't too exposed to anything on the sides. So the other factor of being in this spot here that Scratch is in, and that of course Rawrsoft is in over here, is that this one does not have the natural isn't as easy. If you're in this position, you effectively have to take this exposed, bit more exposed position, or this base if there's not a Zerg. If you actually don't have a Zerg, I would probably advise letting a Protoss player take this one, and just sort of, you know, going down a flowchart from there from Zerg and then Protoss and whatnot. So we'll see that I don't actually like taking either of these middle ones. This seems to be pretty much the prime spot for being attacked, is when just pretty much people like to follow these roads. I don't know if that's some kind of human psyche thing where we like to follow roads or whatnot, but people generally come straight in for these bases here, and not so much these ones here. I have played about 10 or 15 games on this map, so this is why I like to take this one, which is being done here, and of course just getting a lot of sentries up to make sure you can defend. So we will notice here as well that the Xel'Naga towers are very interestingly positioned. We've got this one here, of course, it is mirrored on the other side. Actually, we'll have a look at it on this side. We've got this one here, which tomrlu has taken, and as you can see, it actually spots quite a great region here, and you can actually see, firstly, you can pretty much see what is happening here at this base. It sort of goes down that far. As we can see, if we actually have a look at what tomrlu can see. So it sort of goes down that far. You can effectively be covering both of these bases with this watchtower. It also covers this gold base on the side, which does have some rocks in the way, but also this attack path. There's a lot of attack paths on this map, which we'll get to in a second. So I would really advise taking these ones. I actually like taking the side ones as opposed to these inner ones. A lot of people like to take the inner ones because you can see this very very large attack path through the middle. As you can see, this is mirrored right here. But I actually like taking these side ones because you can see the expansions, you can see the middle gold, and then you can see part of the way down to this expansion here. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, as we can see, we've got a little bit of an attack coming from Tease and his buddy Cash. So they're going to be rolling out through the middle. These banelings do have their +1 to rolling skills, so they're going to be running down the map there. The Zerglings also have their speed, so they're going to be pushing through in a second. It looks as if Ladlav has actually seen that this attack is on the way. He's going to evacuate that command center, lifts up and pulls some SCVs in for a ride as well. Now, this is the interesting part about this. These two guys actually just ran down here without actually mentioning it to myself or Rawrsoft, and of course they get blocked out. So these banelings are actually going to roll around the wrong way, and now he does actually come through. He's going to bust through the engineering bay and a supply depot. A force field goes up from the Protoss player here, MurkLoar, but they do actually fend that off quite nicely. The Zerglings now running in with no support because, of course, Cash actually only has those few Marines, and I didn't actually have too much. I was kind of sitting up here at my base up here, just wondering what the hell was going on because no one actually mentioned what was going on. But Rawrsoft himself is also taking his base, interestingly taking this one up here. I think he was sort of taking this one just to make sure he was he had a little bit of cover from my units as well, because of course, as we mentioned earlier, taking this one is actually quite it's very exposed because it's hard to get to unless you've got cliff walking with you know, a lot of colossi, or if you actually have a sky army. So as you can see here on the income tab, everyone is it's sort of roughly on the same scale. I've going along here with the probes and that sort of thing. We actually have the best income is actually coming sort of from our Zerg player here, Tease. He's doing a nice job there despite the fact he doesn't know how to type that he's going to attack. And the other player doing quite well is tomrlu down here, who is warping in quite a lot of units, so he's going to have a lot to attack with. Now, one of the other factors we mentioned before were the pathways through the middle of the map. So you've got this pathway here that comes along down this side and covers past this gold base, which I've removed the rocks because I was going to take this one very sneakily. And then you have these two main ones in the middle. So there's these two big ones are generally where most of the big clashes occur. You'll see a lot of things come up here. One thing to take advantage of course, is if you're going to force field along this bit here, not along the long side, of course, because that means that you'll need more force fields to do it properly. But the other sides, of course, are the outer edge pathways, which of course mean this one here, where you come through, you come past the gold base. Essentially, if anyone's put up a base here, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. And the other way is actually to take out the destructible debris covering these side expansions here. You can come up through this way and come and perhaps surprise your opponents coming through this side, but I haven't really seen that taken to effect very much at all. One thing which I had thought about a little while ago was actually these upper little pieces that actually cover this bit. If you get a Terran up here with some tanks and perhaps a Thor or two or some Marines, you can actually control quite a large area here. You can watch off this section and of course the gold base and have it very secure. So it's interesting that no one has actually done that yet. Now Scratch, as we talked about before, doing a very interesting wall off in his base, and I think we'll actually see the level of Scratch's play as we see him evacuate with this this airdrop that he tried to pull through. Some Phoenix that I've pulled down have actually come along and deflected that quite nicely. So Scratch actually being a little bit unfortunate there and getting that attack completely obliterated. So I'm thinking this guy was actually kind of around about a silver or perhaps a bronze sort of level, but we're not here to really look at that. Now, one thing which you'll notice if you haven't really played many team games, you'll notice that I got Phoenix and I have pretty much a bunch of everything in this in the entire Protoss arsenal. And the reason for that, especially for the Phoenix, is that in team games, especially 3s and 4s, you will always see Void Rays from the Protoss. So that is always the case, and we'll demonstrate that in just a second. As we can see here, the Phoenix coming along, lifting the tanks, providing a little bit of cover, and it looks as if we have tomrlu coming across, but some force fields blocking off the whole of this. Just interesting to note that the Colossi, the fake Colossi here from tomrlu, don't actually stomp on the force fields with their high heels. They actually just walk straight through it. So that's a little bit of an easy way to know that there are some fake Colossi, apart from the fact that I actually saw him put them down. But as we mentioned before, Void Rays. We've got Void Rays here from Rawrsoft. He went straight for a couple of those, and I think he does build a few more as well. But if we have a quick look over here, MurkLoar going straight for the Void Rays. As I said, you really have to be careful of Protoss actually building a lot of Void Rays in team games, because they tend to do it and they love to do it. So we do see a little bit of a battle here occurring at the gold base here. Some force fields going down, holding back some of those units, capturing them like Pokemon, and we see the victory comes out here for myself. Just actually able to fend that off with a whole heap of sentries that have charged up energy. So that's the power of the sentries there. As you can see down here, Rawrsoft actually taking his own shot down here at tomrlu's base, removing this nexus, taking out a lot of the units that were here. I believe I did see some, but it looks as if tomrlu is actually going to try and counter. He brings some stalkers in up to the side, but just a little bit too late there with that attack. Is just going to miss off those units here. If he does use his blink, he could certainly catch off some of these units. There we go, blinks in, but Rawrsoft interestingly turns around straight away and actually takes out a lot of these stalkers here. The stalkers just getting absolutely obliterated. Their guardian shields, force fields, graviton beams, and some fake colossi going off. This is going incredibly nuts here for these guys on this side. So we have the Void Rays finally coming in, charging up and removing a lot of those units. So we have some nukes coming in here. Very hush from Ladlav. He hasn't really done too much all game until this particular moment. As we can see, got some ghosts in here. 4 tactical nukes are ready for deployment, and he does see that Cash has actually taken this base here. If we have a quick look at the vision of Cash and of Tease, we can actually see that the red dot is just visible, but it is very hard to see in a team game because there's a lot of things going on the map and it can be hard to spot it. Nuke going down there, another nuke being put up here at Cash's other expansion here. He's going to be in a lot of trouble. trouble, and another nuke is being prepared on this unfortunate gold expansion there, and a nuke coming down here, removing all of those Marines. They get absolutely obliterated, Terminator 2 style here, with all the Marines getting burnt to a crisp. And as we can see, another nuke just falling on this command center, but it is still alive, just alive. And as we can see, the Ghosts now going to work on the Thors and the Marines that were left over that survived the nuke strike there. But pretty much that's all that Ladlav got up to for most of the game, until he actually comes in a little bit later with some interesting attacks. But we're not going to look into that too much. But as we can see here, I'm actually being very careful because there is a sensor tower. Now, sensor towers on this map are actually really cool. You can use them to great advantage here. You can chuck them up in the corner. I'd rather they actually be up here in the corner so you can see a little bit more of where your opponents are. And of course we have another one on this side as well. So that's Ladlav's contribution to the game so far. A couple of sensor towers and some attacks on the Thor and Marine combo of Cash. So that's what he's done for the moment. Meanwhile, checking out who's got AA is Tease, and he knows that there are a lot of Void Rays on the map, and as we mentioned before, being a little bit prepared for that as I have a whole lot of them pumping out. Some more Phoenix on the way if I wasn't supply block like a bad. And as we can see here, if we just have a quick look on the army count there, we've got myself on 166. The rest of the team is sort of sitting around the 100 mark. We've got T's actually on 200 because he is Zerg and they have that power of the Zerg. And then the other team, the team number 2 we'll call them, is actually pretty much sitting in the favor of MurkLoar with his 10 billion I was about to say Vikings, the Void Rays, which he has here. He's max supply. And we have Ladlav sitting here with his 4 Ghost Academies and his few Ghosts that he has at the moment, sitting on 77 supply. That seems to be his strategy for the moment, which is actually quite common. A lot of people like to just do one particular thing just for fun. I know team games can be quite a little bit of fun if you just, you know, hang out with your friends and do them and that sort of thing. But of course, it can lead to actually losing the game if you aren't doing anything correctly. Meanwhile, over here on the other side, we do have Rawrsoft coming along, destroying the destructible debris here at this expansion. Some storms going down on the Immortals. No real point to that at all because the storm does not do too much. And it looks as if some more storms getting stacked up here. Just got to be really careful, everyone. Make sure you don't actually stack your storms up. They do not stack damage. Try and actually put them in a line or put them in a little bit of a circle, and then you can actually get a whole lot more damage coming out. But over here on the other side of the map, this is going to lag the computer a bit. I am really sorry about this, but this is a huge battle here with more stacking storms here from MurkLoar, but his Void Rays are coming into the battle, being surrounded by these Hydra Roach army, and then coming from the side, my flanking Phoenix coming in, doing all the damage to those Void Rays and pulling up a lot of that, and then actually coming in through this side as well. And it looks as if this main battle has started here. As we can see, everything coming through. Thor's up the back from Cash, and the units here are just pouring in. And now Scratch is actually going to be in a lot of trouble because this is essentially his only base for the moment. He didn't really expand very well. Another nuke coming down from Ladlav. He's looks as if Tease thinks that Burrow is going to actually save his units, or perhaps he was just burrowing to wait till MurkLoar actually went away. But if we have a quick look at this nuke coming down, check out this. The Hydras, bam! And they have been obliterated there by that nuke. Unfortunately, Cash sort of just left off here at the back, just sort of waddling around with his Thors. And he finally does come in to help out the team here. And he does start removing a lot of these units. Unfortunately, not in time for Tease to actually save his Hydra Roach army. But as we can see, another nuke going down. Interesting positioning, but it does look like it's going to come off here. The Thors have stopped, and the Thors are going to get nuked, and there they go. They are all put into low HP. They'll probably dispose of the rest of these Void Rays, though, because the Void Rays really do not do much to Thors when there are a whole heap of them like that, until they are charged up, that is. But there we go. The Thors do finally go down. There's one Thor left over, full health, and it looks as if he is going to fall down to those Rays once he gets up to there. But it looks as if the attack coming in here from myself actually getting rid of Scratch, and Scratch has essentially lost all of his base here. But here we go, that little bit of annoying defense which I mentioned from Ladlav has finally come to fruition. He's come in here with a whole heap of Cloak Banshees here. We've got 12 Cloak Banshees just rolling around. Now, stupidly, I actually ran my observers into some turrets, so that's why there's no observers around here for the Phoenix to take advantage of the fact that they would just rip apart the Banshees. But if we have a quick look over here on this side, we did have Rawrsoft actually losing his expansion here. He's only got a few units actually left over. As we have a quick look on the army tab, this is both the teams sort of just lowering their units a whole heap. Unfortunately, Rawrsoft stuck at 77 for the moment. MurkLoar leaves the game. You'll see that a lot in team games, actually. If you haven't played team games, you'll see that if there's one player, generally if there's one player who's actually carrying a whole team and they actually lose all of their fleet of destruction units, which they tend to build, they'll actually leave the game, and that's pretty much it. Exactly what MurkLoar did right there, but it looks as if Ladlav is not done yet. He's coming across to assault the gold expansion here of Cash. The gold is actually pretty much almost out of minerals there, but it looks as if he is successful in actually taking out a lot of the SCVs and mules that were here. So this is the point of this game. As we mentioned, this is generally this map is a lot about keeping your third base. So we've got the natural here from Rawrsoft. This one's still up and running. That's no problems. And we've got myself just up to 4 bases, just holding this one here for the moment. It looks as if that one might go quite easily, and that'll get away for a while. But as we mentioned, Cash sort of sitting here. He has not really had this expansion up for long, and we can hear the sounds of destruction in the distance. These Banshees have come along. They have taken out some key pylons, actually powering every single building here from Rawrsoft, and everything has gone down. No production is going to come out from Rawrsoft anymore because he has no more pylons covering those buildings. The only pylons he has left over are these ones over here, and half of these are actually mine, I think. There we go. But so the Banshees are going to have to be taken care of. Interestingly, no one over this side of the map actually having any detection at all. Tees has no overseers anywhere. I can't actually find them. He's got a whole bunch of overlords here. This isn't StarCraft 1 though, so those aren't going to do much help at all. But the Banshees coming along here, so they've taken out the pylons of Rawrsoft. They are now going to work on the supply depots of Cash, and this actually has supply block Cash, as you can see up in the top right corner. And now, as we can see here, no units actually really coming to defend. I think those guys are actually just going to go for some sort of mass assault when they can. But as you can see, the Vikings, not the Vikings again, with the Vikings, Jesus, the Phoenix actually coming along here. Probably going to need to send those back in a minute to make sure he can take care of the Banshees because no one else seems to take care of them at the moment. But as we can see, destruction raining in on Ladlav's base. He's going to lose this one quite quickly here. With all the sentries, the Stalkers and the Zealots here, some Void Rays just having a bit of a smoke over here. They've had their fill for the day, but the Banshee's still causing a lot of havoc up here. So back to just quickly on that third base thing. So Cash is stuck on this third base, and he's lost this one now. He's lost his main, he's lost everything. And as we can see for these guys here, tomrlu did do really well in this game for his team, but he just seems to not have actually done many good engagements where he's actually pulled off a lot of attacks. So that's sort of the problem for him on this team. But as we can see, the Phoenix coming in here, disposing of the rest of those Banshees, and they do get rid of that one, and a little bit of BM from me because I was sick of those Banshees. And we do have the final attack coming in here. Some Void Rays coming in. They're going to take a lot of damage from that Storm, but looks as if everything will survive for the moment. The Storm's not really doing too much, and I think we will see a final push here from Tees, Cash, and I think a few units that were left over from Rawrsoft. He does have a couple of cannons going up in his base to make sure he's defended against any more Banshees, but I think they've all been taken care of, and it looks as if the main part of this of Team 1 is actually going to head over. This is pretty much an unstoppable force. You've got Thors to take on air, Hydras as well, and some Marines, and Roaches to tank a lot of the ground damage as well. But effectively, this is just going to be a final attack to push in through this side here. As you can see, a planetary fortress is up for scratch. He has somehow survived and has taken this outside base here, put down a planetary fortress for a little bit of defense, but it's not going to do too much, especially when you're not repairing it. Make sure you repair it, Scratch. Come on. But that one goes down, and that is going to be the end of Scratch here. Meanwhile, just in the main base here, slowly picking off these units here. GG from tomrlu, and that is going to be it. The Phoenix taking out a lot of the High Templars there. Ladlav at GG as well, and that is going to be it. So, District 10, a very cool map, a very macro-orientated map. as I said, I've played like 10 or 15 games on this map, and they generally have all gone on for quite a long time, for 15 to 20 minutes. So it's a very cool map if you're a macro player like myself. If you actually like the longer team games, this is definitely one to try and actually play on. So as we mentioned at the start, so key things to keep an eye on: destructible debris. Make sure you're keeping an eye on that, and just try and use a minimal amount of things to actually cover that, not like Scratch had with a whole city of supply depots and racks there. And the Zelnaga watchtowers, especially these ones on the side, I really do like these ones because they do cover the side expansions. And of course, if you can keep your third base and secure your third base, you will be in a really good position on this map. So hope you guys like that one. A little bit of something different there. We'll probably do a little bit more of these looks at maps and how to play some of these team games. But do keep in mind, I'm currently looking at starting up a little 4v4 league. So if you are interested in something like that, let me know on Twitter. Just send a mention to me at DUCKVILLELOL on Twitter. And just let me know if you're interested, and we'll see if we can get something like that rolling, because fours can be a lot of fun, as we've seen here today. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. Make sure you subscribe and leave feedback and all that sort of jazz. Cheers.